So as usual.
So everybody keeps talking about the wrong thing with Splatoon Raiders. People are stuck on the price. People are stuck on whether this should have been DLC, which I don't understand. People are stuck on the fact that it isn't Splatoon 4. And honestly, I get it, but I don't get the Splatoon 4 part. Those are some fair conversations, but to me, that's still not the real issue, because Raiders could actually be really good, or it could be the kind of game that people play for just one weekend, beat, and never touch again. And if that happens, none of the other debates even matter. Not the price, not the DLC argument, none of it. Because the real problem with Splatoon Raiders is replayability. That's the one thing Nintendo has to get right. Because if the game doesn't give people a reason to come back to it, people are going to move on from it. And honestly, that's what has my attention about this game, not the price at all. And that's why I think people are focused on the wrong thing right now, because the first thing everybody jumped to was the price. Why is it $50? Why is it not Splatoon 4? Why does this feel like something that should have been DLC when many games could have been that? And look, I'm not saying those are the worst questions. They're not. I get why people are asking them, but I do think the conversation is doing just way too much work right now, because price by itself does not decide whether a game is worth it. I've bought full price games, Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero, that I stopped playing after a few days, a few hours, Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. So for me, value has never just been about the number on the screen, because games like Hollow Knight that I love, Metroid Dread, absolutely love, and I play these games yearly. And the reason why is because they give me a reason to keep coming back. That is what matters. If Raiders is fun, deep, and gives me a reason to keep playing, I honestly do not care what people call it. Call it a spinoff, call it side content, call it whatever. If it has a strong loop, people are going to play it. If the loop is weak, people are going to leave. That is really what it comes down to. And to be fair, that's why it matters to me, because Splatoon at its best has always been a game people come back to. That's the whole magic of Splatoon. That's why I love it. You have Ranked that does that. You have Turf War that does that also. And Salmon Run absolutely does that for a very big group. You lose a game, you queue again. You want to try another weapon, you queue again. You want to rank up, you queue again. You want a better Salmon Run rotation, you come back later. And to be fair, you should do that with the other modes too, because some of these maps, as we know, are a little bit questionable. Splatoon is built around always giving you another reason to play. That's why I'm addicted to it. And that is why people sink hundreds of hours into it. And if you're me, thousands. And that's why the series sticks to so many people. And that's also why Raiders is such a big test, in my opinion, because PvE and single player focused games do not get that for free. They actually have to earn it. That's why replayability matters so much here. And I think that Side Order showed that. Some people really liked Side Order. I loved it. And the reason I loved it is because trying different builds, different palettes, different runs, all of that worked for a lot of us. That variety kept me in it. It actually mattered. It didn't matter that there were only 3 bosses, because the replayability to me was amazing. Other people played it and were basically like, it was okay. And I get that. And some of you moved on. And that right there is the challenge that Raiders is going to have. Not whether if it looks interesting, not whether if people like the world, not whether if the trailer looks cool, because it's Splatoon. It does a good job at that. The real question is whether the gameplay loop is actually strong enough to keep people around, because PvE can work. It can work in Splatoon. I really do believe that. I do not think Splatoon has to stay locked into only being about ranked or PvP to be good. We have Salmon Run already, and them expanding on it is a good thing. But if Nintendo wants this kind of game to hit, the loop has to be strong enough that people still care after the first few days. And that's exactly why I think the concern here is fair, because this type of game can go wrong fast. If the campaign is short, that's a problem. If the missions all start feeling the same, yes, that is a problem also. If the upgrades are shallow and don't really change how you play, yes, that is a problem too. And if the difficulty is fake, where enemies are just annoying, or it takes forever to kill, that is also definitely a problem. Because people will forgive a lot, and especially with Nintendo, we already know how much people forgive. They'll forgive weird pricing, they'll forgive Nintendo being Nintendo, they'll forgive missing details early on. What they usually do not forgive is boredom. That's the real danger. If Raiders ends up being the kind of game where you beat it once and it feels like you've already seen everything it has to offer, the whole conversation is done. At that point, this should have been DLC crowd, yeah, they kind of win, I guess, if you really want to say it. But you know, you enjoy what you like, right? Like we're down with that, because then the game becomes very easy to dismiss. And that's why I think this is such an important moment for Splatoon. Not because Raiders has to replace normal Splatoon, not because it has to become Splatoon 4, but because if Nintendo is going to push the series in this PvE direction, they need to prove they can make people stay and not just show up once. But at the same time, I'm not writing the game off, because there are some things here that actually give me hope. This is making me buy a console, by the way, and getting this on day one. The more we've seen from Raiders, the more it feels like Nintendo at least understands what this game needs to be. And to me, the biggest thing is variety. That's what keeps PvE games alive. If every run feels the same, people are going to leave, and that's understandable. But if the game gives you reasons to experiment, unlock new things, try different setups, and approach fights differently, that's when I know a lot of you will stay. And Raiders actually looks like it has some of those elements, and we still need to see more. But from what we've seen, we get different gadgets, different weapons, different tank types, relic powers, perks, crafting, companion effects, boss fights, treasure hunting, island exploration, and even the option to play solo or with other people. That matters a lot, because that gives the game more ways to just stay interesting. If I'm collecting resources and using those to unlock new stuff, that matters. If I'm building different loadouts and actually feeling the difference between them, that also matters. If co-op makes replaying things more fun instead of just easier, that's a big deal, because now people can sit in a world with their friends and have a lot of fun. That's the kind of stuff that gives a game life, and that's what can breathe more life into Splatoon. Not just a cool concept, not just a nice trailer, not just Splatoon, but different. It has to go deeper than that. Because if the systems underneath all of this are actually strong, then Raiders has a real chance. A real chance not to just be decent, not to just be a fun side game, but to actually matter within the Splatoon ecosystem. And that's really what all of this comes back to for me. Raiders does not need to be Splatoon 4. It just needs to give people a reason to come back. Because if players beat this game once and move on, the whole "this should have been DLC" conversation, it comes back. It really does. But if Nintendo gets replayability right, then I honestly think Raiders could end up being way more important than a lot of people realize. Not because it replaced rank, but because it proves Splatoon can be more than just rank. And I think that is a big part of moving forward into the future. Because there's a lot of people who love Splatoon's world, love the music, love the style, love the characters. And something we talked about in the last video, they don't want to play PvP, and that's okay. And if Raiders can finally give those players their own real space in this series, that's a big deal. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm also very cautious because it is Nintendo at the end of the day. Because if Nintendo does not get that aspect right, which is replayability, this game is going to lose a lot of people, and they will make fun of it and talk about it forever. I really think this could be one of the most important Splatoon spin-offs they've ever made. But let me know what you think. Do you think Raiders actually has enough depth to keep people playing? Or do you think this is the kind of game people are going to finish once and just move on from? But as I said, let me know in the comments down below. As I said, I'm back. I've been doing these videos for a little bit now. Let me know what you think. And as I said, I am streaming on Twitch. I'm supposed to be streaming every Saturday at 9 a.m. But I'm going to catch you guys later. Have an amazing day. Peace out.